Well guys, welcome back, and today is the day that the old S10 gets a new transmission. Fragile must be Italian. So here's the plan of attack. First, going to take the dry shaft out. Then I'm going to take the cross member out. Then I'll probably go to the shift cable, which is right there, goes up there. Take all the shift linkage off, or shift cable. Then I'll take the torque converter bolts out, get her free, put the transmission jack stand on the pan, then take the bell housing bolts out, drop her down some so we can get to the transmission lines, and then we can probably pull her free. And I also have to take the exhaust off right here, which is a pain in the butt. And then we pull her out right here. Alright, I just noticed something. I changed my pinion angle and it moved the this guy in more. We still got some room for play, so it's not bottoming him out. But look at this. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I kind of think it was leaking here too, because look at all that pitting on that side as compared to right here. It's a lot more smooth. So I think this might be one of the culprits. Alright, so what I'm doing here, I'm using the old crank polish technique. I'm just going to try to get rid of all that crappy pitting. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I feel way better about that. Still got pitting on a couple areas. I think the seal is right around here, so it's hitting this and hitting that, but man, that is way better than before. It's extremely rough. So got the old exhaust out, cross member out, and let's peer underneath. So the reason why the exhaust has to come off is because you cannot get to your transmission lines unless it comes off, at least in my vehicle. And look at this. It's leaking right there too. That's probably another issue. My little baby girl Gingers. Oh gosh, she's attacking me with love. Alright girl, I'm gonna need 1/2 to get this pan off. And the reason why I'm taking the pan off is because that one's a deep dish, this one's a stock. It gives me a lot more clearance to pull that transmission out when it's on this transmission stand. Well, all that glitters ain't gold. Get the old transmission jack on there. Alright, let's go remove the bell housing bolts. And as you can see, I've made my life about as easy as it can be to get to the top bolts. If it's not abundantly clear by now, this is not a show car. It's a play toy. So, the lines and the dipstick is now out. She is free. And it's time just to turn this guy right here. And she will come on down. Coming down screaming. Went ahead and pulled all the old lines out. And this is what I'm working with. I got some new lines. And last time, just got one line, and I tried to flare that. My flare tool sucks and it always leaked a little bit right there. So I said screw that this time. Ended up getting the already made flares, and then I put these ends on it that are already got the fittings for the hose. So I think that should work pretty good. Got a new cooler, some new lines. We're ready to rock and roll. New everything. Dun dun dun. So fresh and so clean. Here's my old custom mount that I made. Gives you more points of contact. The reason why is because this guy right here is pretty chintzy. You got all that flex and torque, especially on nitrous and foot braking it. So I'll go over here. You'll see that it actually broke on this one. And that was my whole reason for making that. And I'm pretty sure that when this cracked and the bolt wasn't really in there, it was flexing like this, you know, because the whole thing wants to turn this way. And I'm pretty sure that that's what caused the bell housing to crack right here, because it had way more flex in the unit than it really needed to be. So what I have here, I took the old lines and the new lines, and I did my best to kind of route them in the same direction as the old ones were going in, because the old ones actually routed around everything. They're probably not going to be perfect by any means, but it'll get me there, so I won't be fighting with it a whole bunch and hitting things. I can probably get it up in there and then do the rest of the bending once it's up in the vehicle. And we're going to first start by dumping as much as we can into this converter. And I'm using TCI's Max Shift RTF for race transmission fluid. All right, so let's take off this guy and take just a little bit of fluid. I'm going to make sure that we got some stuff on the seal to ensure that we're not going to run it dry. I'm going to put a little on the snout, the torque converter, and I'm going to very gently and carefully put her on. She's a little heavy. Hopefully we don't get too much fluid coming out. Yeah, we didn't. We're good. We're going to turn it until we get her all the way in there. And I think we are. Yep. We are completely seated. Make sure there's no space in here. And sometimes you hear 2 clicks, but I must have just got her on there pretty good the first time. All right, so we got our dipstick back in. This is a low car. It just presses in. We got both our lines on. I'm probably definitely gonna have to finagle them around and bend them again whenever the exhaust goes in. But those guys are on there. You definitely want to put these on in an S10 with the transmission slightly lower, because it's almost impossible to get over this hump right here. The transmission is now bolted up to the motor, still have to do the cross member and a whole bunch of other crap, and bolted the torque converter to the flex plate. Man, I tell you what, I went my whole life without a transmission jack, and man, does it make life easier. There's gonna be a lot of people are gonna say, you can do it without it. You're right, you definitely can. But it is definitely way better to have a transmission jack, because once you go jack, you ain't never going back. Check out my sweet shim job. The bolts are too long. All right, so what I have here is these 2 washers, and when I measured them, it's about 130 thousandths of an inch. Ideally, you want between, I believe it's like 60 to 187 thousandths of an inch. So we'll see how this is. It's all the way back. I'm gonna push it forward, and it's barely moved. So I'm gonna say we are perfect on our converter flex plate clearance. All right, guys, this is a very critical step right here to get your cable set up correctly. So right now we're in neutral, and you can see it's nice and loose. You won't be able to get this so it's perfectly smooth and everything, but you want to get it as close as possible in your driving gears. And neutral, I think, is the most critical for me. I want it to be dead nuts in neutral, because when I'm coming off the quarter, I'm going like 120 plus miles an hour, and I pop it into neutral. I don't want it to be engaged in anything except for neutral all the way. So I'm gonna now take this all back to first, and I'll show you what I'm doing. So now in first, you can see it's still pretty good. Barely moved, barely moved. It's at a weird angle right here when I get it in, but as you can see, I can still get it in, and it's pretty much in there. You take this off too, go up a gear, go down a gear. That's first, and we can see that we are definitely in first. Let's go to third real quick. I like to skip a gear just to make sure I know I'm getting in it. Let's see. First, second, third. And we're pretty much in there. Once it gets in there, yep. Let's see. Double check one more time. Yep. See how it barely moved when it was in third? I'm gonna go all the way to the park now. Like I said, the idea is to get it as close as you can to the driving gears and make sure everything else, see, farther up it goes. It's gonna be, since they make these shifters for a lot of different vehicles, they're never gonna be perfect in every single one, but especially park, but that's definitely close to the park. Only way to really know is to put it in park and make sure it engages and doesn't go anywhere. So now, take it down to reverse. See, park, oops, park, reverse, and we're in reverse. So like I said before, you want it to be as close as possible in your driving gears, because reverse, there's not really much load in it, and park, there's no load, it's just sitting there. So your driving gears are the most important to get them correct. And you just have to find a happy medium where all this works correctly for yours, because none of these are gonna be perfect. I haven't had one yet that goes into every single gear perfect. Up here on the top side, got the lines in, got them all nice and routed to the hard lines. The hard lines are off the headers. The only thing left to do now is to put the drive shaft back in, fluid, and fire this puppy up. Well, I know park's working. I wanted to go tighten up the drive shaft bolts and went into park. So what I got going on here, I got the back tires suspended off the ground. I'm gonna put some fluid in there, probably about almost 2 gallons, and then start her up and see if the tires move. If they don't move, after I run it through the gears, then I'm gonna put some more fluid in there until they start moving, and then I'm just gonna slowly fill it up and check the level until we got it perfect.